Our guest today is an Emmy Award-winning puppeteer and producer whose immense body of work includes, and make noise if I mention something you like, The Brady Bunch Hour, Donnie and Marie, HR Puffin Stuff, Lidsville, Sigmund and the Sea Monster, Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, Far Out Space Nuts, Dr. Shrinker, and the Land of the Lost. Please welcome Sid Krofft!
Hey, thank you, thank you. You know, actually, you left a lot of shows.
I left. We'd be here for an hour if I listed everything.
26 shows. And I'm the guy, my brother did all the business end of it. And I'm the guy that created all that stuff. So thank you so much for remembering all these years. It means a lot to me. And I love coming to these Comic-Cons. I haven't done that many because I love talking to the fans. And I know a lot of you came to see me. I see some familiar faces this morning, and I cannot tell you what this means to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Pleasure is ours. Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir. What I'd love to do is ask you a couple things and get some of the background stuff. Then maybe I'll go out in the audience and take some of their questions. So,
okay.
I'd love to do. So you guys, you did the banana splits for Hanna-Barbera, and then after that, you broke off on your own. What
happened? This is exactly what happened. You know, there's 30 years before Puffin Stuff or Banana Splits. I was a performer. If you're from here, I looked it up. 1947, I came here for one day with the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. That's when the Big Top sat 15,000 people. And when we came here, because we moved, there was only one company. And we played Los Angeles for 2 days, bigger city. But we played surrounding cities. And we traveled with 1,800 performers. And there were 100 clowns. It was amazing. School closed, the banks closed, you know, and it was a national holiday. I was the world's youngest puppeteer. I was 15 years old. They offered me, I auditioned in New York at Madison Square Garden in the basement because I thought, I'd never seen a circus, and it said sideshow. They're looking for performers, unique acts for the sideshow. So without even telling my dad, who was my manager, I went down and auditioned. And they said, okay, kid, you know, you're going to see the country. We'll offer you $40. And it scared the hell out of me. I was leaving town. You can't come with your parents. You'll be alone. And I was in vaudeville and burlesque before that with my act. And so, because I was so scared, I said, I can't do that. Why not? I said, because I need $50, thinking they would say, absolutely not. And they offered me the 50, but he said, you know, if you don't do well for us, I want you to know you'll go back to 40 or we're gonna fire you. So anyway, when I told my dad that I was offered $50, which he didn't believe me, you know, and he had to verify it, he said, you're gonna quit school? We're gonna be millionaires. $200 a month? We're paying $20 a month rent, living in the Bronx, New York. We just moved to New York, thank you. We just moved to the Bronx So anyway, I have to tell you something. I know as kids, we all, when the circus comes to town, we all think, oh my God, I'd like to run away with the circus. No, you wouldn't. It was frightening, especially for a young kid. And the reason they offered me $50, because they knew that I was going to go out on the ballet stage as often as they could get me to on the midway, because people were scared to death to bring their kids in to see the freaks. And I came out with my puppets, and little kids would cry and say, I want to go see his show, you know. And years later, I realized, because they took my banner that was way at the end and moved it next to the opening, the entrance to the, by the way, the sideshow held 3,000 people, packed all the time. We did 12 shows a day, you know, in a big circle. Each act was on a big 6-foot platform. And it was a world of its own. And we were not allowed to go to the big top. We were not allowed to eat with the big top people. We had our own cookhouse. And they had their own language, you know, and well, they did call them freaks then. I know we can't use that word now, but they hated me. Who was this kid? You know, I mean, I didn't belong in their world. And so I got along with no one, except there was one act. It was the man without a face. And he was born, he always wore a mask. I only saw him once without the mask. I can still hear his voice. He had a real kind voice talking through the mask. And he really looked over me. And he was born without eyelids. He was born with no structure. He was born with 2 holes for his nose and just a slit and 2 holes for his ears. And when he took the mask off, women in the audience would always faint because I only saw it once in New York, and I never saw him again without his mask. And you know, the blacks were never, ever allowed. They were the strong men of the circus because they set up the big top. But as soon as the big top opened for the first show at 2:15, the blacks were not allowed. They had to go back to the train and to their trains. And of course, we were told right at the beginning, don't ever talk, and they will never talk to you. So there were all these rules. Big top, not allowed to go over there. I did, but we weren't allowed. And Jenny Walenda, the Walendas, does anybody remember them? Yeah, that was the big aerial act. Jenny was 16, and I was 15. And so she was so lonely. She started that year, and she used to disguise herself and come over. And she got caught by her dad, because they came from Germany. And she got in a lot of trouble for going over to the freak show, you know. But we became, until she left our planet, we were so close. She followed my career. She lived in Sarasota, and she was like, I mean, we were really in love with each other, but it didn't happen. And so anyway, that was an exciting part of my life, and I apologize for spending that much time, but it's really important to me because it's in my blood, even though I was only with them for 2 years. But I sure learned a lot as a little kid that quit school. Yeah. Well, I didn't like school. Yeah.
Well, again, and even before that, you were in burlesque and vaudeville, and then the circus. I mean, you are.
Well, thank you. I also played here. You know, there was a big article in your paper a couple of days ago. He interviewed me on Zoom or whatever, and he was hunting for. I know I played here in a vaudeville theater, but we couldn't find, you know, the theater because I toured with Gracie Allen and George Burns. They were the opening, yeah. And we toured, we were on a circuit, you know, and I know, you know, that somebody's going to come up with it because I traveled my whole life, so I never kept reviews. I was gone to the next city by the time a review came out, and somebody would send it to me. I'd send it to my mom. She'd say, "Oh, that's my son," and throw it away, you know. And so I didn't have copies of traveling all over the world as a performer. And also a puppet act. That's for little kids. But you know what I did? And if anybody watches my show on Instagram, I'm on Sunday at 3 o'clock Pacific, and then 6 o'clock here. And I do a whole hour with a huge star as a guest or lesser star. Everybody wants to be on my show because they grew up with all my stuff. And I've been on for 4 years. And you'll hear stories that'll blow you away because my career has been so massive, you know, and so many things have happened in my life, and what a gift. And why did television happen? You know, because we had a show called Les Poupées de Paris. It was a puppet show, but it was for adults only. You had to be 21 to see it. That's what put us on the map. It played the New York Fair, the Seattle World's Fair, Broadway, Vegas, you know, huge for us. So we were rocking and rolling. Then I was the creative head of all the Six Flag parks. And I had a puppet theater for Coca-Cola. You know, they sponsored it. For 9 years, we were in all the parks, new show every year. So we were fine. But then I asked Angus Wynn, who owned all the Six Flag parks before it became a big corporation, I asked him, because he financed what we called the Show Business Factory, where we built all the rides or whatever they needed. And I said, I've got 250 people that I love so much, and they're so creative from Disney and all the studios. Do I have to let them go until I give you next year's whatever you need? And he said, no, open up your doors. So Hanna-Barbera came to us because they knew we were the only ones that did people in suits. This is before Walt Disney put Mickey Mouse and all that stuff. But I did that in my puppet shows because I always had 1 or 2 little people, and we would put strings on them with the marionettes. They were as big as the marionettes, and people didn't even, the audience didn't know, the press didn't know, but I always put people in suits. So Hanna-Barbera said, well, we got this idea, we know nothing about live action, and that's why they brought the banana splits. I created those costumes, and we built them in our show business factory. Now, how did Puffin stuff happen? I talk a lot, so you have to shut me up.
We're good, right?
Yeah. No, it's real interesting. You know, the head of programming, nighttime programming, not daytime, Fred Silverman, used to come to our show business factory because we built Disney on Parade. We also built for Roy Disney in that factory. We also did a big portion of the original electric parade at Disneyland, right?
Did you?
Yeah. And so everybody that came to our show business factory always freaked out. They never saw anything like it. And I'm the creative guy, so I ran it 85 hours a day with I had 25 artists. That was my office because they were the soul of what I did. And so Fred Silverman said, God, you're totally insane, Sid. Why don't you come up with an idea and we'll buy it? And Puff and Stuff was in a show live at the San Antonio World's Fair in Texas. And it was that character. He didn't have arms. He was a different color. He became the symbol of the fair. And he wasn't even called Puff and Stuff. He was called Luther, because I thought a cowboy hat on a dragon with cowboy boots and Luther, which is a really religious name, it would be cool, you know, in Texas. And so I took all those characters and that character that were in this puppet show, and I came up with HR, Puff and Stuff. It doesn't mean drugs, you know, because I'm asked that question. HR, does that mean hand-rolled? Or, I mean, we've been asked a lot of questions like that. And Puff the Magic Dragon was the huge song, you know. That was the #1 song. So that's where I got that Puff and Stuff from. And the name didn't look big enough, and he was the mayor of Living Island, and I thought, okay, I'll give him a couple of initials, the Royal Highness, and I spun that around. So that's how all that happened. Honestly, and I'll shut up, but honestly, in editing with the editor, the first show, I thought, we're rocking and rolling, and this is going to ruin our career. Because little kids, 8 o'clock in the morning, what are they, 4, 5, 6 years old? Are they going to understand? You know, it was so psychedelic, and the dialogue, and, you know, and I thought it was over. Because being a live performer, you're going to tell me right away, I like it, or, you know, or you're going to fall asleep or not applaud. Or what. So you always get the temperature going immediately. But television, you don't know. The first day they ran it, you have to wait 2 or 3 days before you hear the ratings. And I got the call, and they said, Sid, your show went through the roof, you know, and it's even on at night in England because of Jack Wilde. And if that wasn't successful, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to all of you, because if you have a flop, it'll take years before they'll give you a second chance. And that's how all the other shows, all 3 networks waited every single year for me to come in, sit on the floor. The executives would sit at their desk, and I had this book with all the art, and I would tell them the story like little kids. Never did a pilot on any shows, 26 shows. They bought everything. They would bid all 3 networks for what the next show is. When it came to the sixth show, which was Land of the Lost, I couldn't come up 2 years before Land of the Lost. Because when I was 10 years old, I saw a movie called 1 Million BC. And it was dinosaurs. They weren't even dinosaurs. They were blown up lizards. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that scared the hell out of me. And it always stuck in my mind. So that's how Land of the Lost happened. Go ahead.
No, it's again such a tremendous body of work, and stuff
you.
beyond too. You were kind of pushing out at the tail end of the variety show era, with Donnie and Marie and even Pink Lady and Jeff. It's like you guys were trying to keep.
That's
the
in a
format
time
up.
capsule, that show.
Yeah.
200 years from now, they're going to find, we don't know where they buried it in Hollywood. Somebody's going to find it and say, whoa, I don't know what was happening in the world, but that was the worst. Not my fault.
No, to your credit though, with all the challenges that went with it, I think the fact that you managed to get it on, calling Lauren Green 4 hours before, can you be on the show, and getting him on.
Oh,
that
no,
was a lot.
everybody wanted, how did I get all those big stars? How to do all those shows? They were friends of mine because, and everybody that I called, everybody said, Sid, I love you. I love your act, because they all saw me at the Greek Theater, every star on the planet or in Vegas, because I was the opening act for her first national tour. The biggest star in the world, Judy Garland. Yeah. And so I toured the country almost. We went to London too, but with her. And boy, do I have stories to tell. No, it was amazing, just amazing.
Let me ask this then.
Yeah.
Out of all of this, what's the best memory that you've taken from all this fine work?
Are you kidding? My best memory is all of you coming to me at my table. I've done very few of these, and it means so much to me because, when you're living in a house up in the hills, I do have a lot of friends, but you just don't hear from, you have fans out there because somebody must have watched all those shows, but just to hear your stories. And I would say 25% that come and ask me for my autograph, they say, would you sign it to my grandma or my mom or my dad? And I said, are they here? No, my grandma, she's in the hospital. I said, okay. Can you get her on the phone? And same thing happens. I said, but don't tell her or him who's calling, right? And then they start to cry, the son or the daughter, always. It's the same thing. And then grandma or mom gets on the phone and, hello? Because they don't know who's calling. I said, this is Sid Krofft. And they always say, who? Yeah. And I said, this is Sid Krofft. Oh my God. And they burst out. And I said, I just wanted to thank you for being a long-time fan. It really means a lot to me. And you have a beautiful, beautiful day. And the whole family is bawling. So we made a shirt that said, Sid Krofft made me cry. But it was a good cry, or I wouldn't have done it. I don't want to make anybody unhappy.
You absolutely have not. You have made so many smiles.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
I just got to, on behalf of myself and this audience, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your talents, your professionalism, and all this artistry that you gave us.
Are you going to make me cry?
I hope not.
I mean, you make an old man cry. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we have a surprise for you.
A surprise.
Yes,
Wow.
we
Is
do.
it like Christmas in July? Wow.
We are here to we're going to celebrate your 95th birthday a little early.
Oh my God! Thank you so much.
This is from all of us here at GalaxyCon on behalf of all your fans. A very happy 95th. We can't light the candles, but but this is.
Oh my God! Thank you. Oh my God. It's from all of you. That's what it says. From all your fans. That's you.
Thank
you.
you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sid. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Thank you. Many more? Oh, I mean, oh my God.
I want to keep you going. There, you want to take a little finger lick? Give it.
No,
okay.
no, I don't want to spoil the picture.
Oh, okay.
Right now. No,
All
it
right,
looks beautiful.
It is a nice one.
I'm going to put it on my table.
We'll put it on the table.
Come and see it in real life.
Yes.
I'll be here tomorrow and Sunday too.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Well, thank you so much for coming on up and having this little chat with us. I know people have questions. But we're just about time.
I want to hear what people have to say, and don't be afraid. I'll answer everything.
Well, like I say, look, come by the table because we have to, unfortunately, because they didn't come at 2. But listen, he'll be at his table just a little bit, so just come on down and ask him anything. And you got a lot of neat stuff there.
We don't have time?
We don't have time, unfortunately. We're just about... we'll take one. If you tell me you'll take one, then we'll take one. All right.
We'll take 2.
We'll take 2. All right, we'll take 2. We'll take 2.
Yeah. No, come on.
See, you can tell me to take 2, but my producer says that. But so you can override.
Yeah,
All right, I'll do one on this side and one on that side. So somebody on this side, get a hand. Anybody?
Oh my God!
All right, I'll take the one in the blue.
There's 4.
All right, this guy in the blue shirt. What is your name?
John Cash.
John Cash. What do you want to know?
Well, first of all, you've been a part of my wife's lives and now my children's lives, so thank you so much. When I think of all the shows, Lidsville, Bugaloos, and HR Pub stuff is, probably up my list. What was Charles Nelson Riley like to work with?
Who? I didn't hear the last.
Charles Nelson Riley. What was your experience with him?
Charles Nelson Riley, I met him through Rip Taylor, and he brought him to my house. And I called Charles Nelson Riley to do the show, and he said, no way. I'm not. It's going to mean that I'm out of the business. I'm trying to, up myself. I'm going to do a kid show. Get out of here. No way. I talked him into it. And every day that he came to work, he called it the Krofft concentration camp because he hated the green makeup. But when he hit the stage, oh my God. Okay. And then he told me years later, he said, I created that character, and that character is Charles Nelson Riley that no one knew about. And even on the Johnny Carson show or all of his interviews, he said, yeah, I'm Hoodoo. And all these years, come on, that's 50 some odd years ago that was 50. It just blows me absolutely away, that these stars, every one of them, oh my God, Jim Neighbors, he was a huge star. I knew him. And he said, please, don't even ask me again. But you get to know me. I don't give up. And guess what? I'm going to tell you all something really important. How did I get there? And why are my shows and everything I've done so different? Because I went left. Everybody goes right, and they follow the leader. I took the chance. I I didn't succeed few times in my life, but go left. Don't follow. If you've got a creative mind, we all do, every one of us, and you believe in something, which I always did, I said, come on, no one's going to say no to me, you know. So, thank you.
Great question. Thank you.
One more
friend
question,
over here.
right? And maybe we can do a 3.
Hey,
Oh my
what's your
God.
name?
You know
Paul.
who's here? Paul Rubens.
Well, yeah, I had my Pee Wee Herman cosplay earlier. Yeah, again, congrats on turning 95. Hope you got special plans. Though I would recommend against running for president as far as at that age, even though so many people want to run it. Anyway, my question is, for those who don't know, what was the story of the lawsuit between Sid and Marty Krofft Productions and McDonald's?
Okay, McDonald's.
Oh boy.
We sued them and we won. And McDonald's, yeah. And we had one lawyer, they had 15. And they came to me, I got the phone call, I'll do it real fast because they're going to throw us out of here. Yeah, are we okay? Because my story.
Oh, this is a good story. Yeah,
Okay, McDonald's, whatever they were in Chicago, I got the call and they said, we want to do McDonaldland. We're calling it McDonaldland. But, and they sent me a letter, they said, a la Puffin Stuff characters. And so we got the job, you know, to create McDonaldland. And they gave us, I know exactly what they get, $75,000, right? But I always spend it all in my art department and, you know, hoping that it's going to mean something down the line. And we were in the middle of it, doing, you know, all those characters. And I get a call, Marty's in London on business, and I get a call and they said, we're not doing it. And so it's fine, whatever you guys did, and if you made some money, whatever. And we decided not to do it. 3 months later, I saw it on television, the ad. And we couldn't find a lawyer. There wasn't such a thing as, God, what did they call it? Yeah.
Intellectual property,
Yeah. And there wasn't such a thing. We did finally find one lawyer, you know, copyright infringement. It's in the law books. Lawyers study this case. I'm the first one on the stand. And, you know, they prompted me and everything. But I've never been to court in my life. And so, you know, and there's a jury and the judge, and they put me on the stand, and before anybody asked me a question, and I started talking, of course, you know. And the judge said, Mr. Krofft, no one asked you a question. I looked over at the jury, and they all grew up with my shows and everything. And they were like, every day I came dressed, you know, in a suit and a tie. In those days, we all wore tie. And they'd always wait for me to come in to the courtroom. And I just knew they were going to be on my side. And so we won, but the judge, we won a huge sum. And the judge said, no, that's too much money. Because we found out years later he was working for McDonald's.
Ooh.
And so we only ended up with $1 million. They were going to give us something like 30. And my brother took the money and we bought a house in Maui with it. And, you know, and so that was the McDonald case. We never made much money on any of the shows because I put everything up on the screen. That, you know, yes, I used to fight my brother about lowering the budget and everything. I said, hey, come on, I'm going to figure out how to do everything I want to do, you know. And that's why H.R. Puffin stuff had a lot of scenery, you know. And they said, that's what you got to cut. And I said, just give me a blue cyc, and I'm going to paint the floors. They never did anything like that. And just, I'll cut out of plywood clouds and wooden trees with the few trees that we had, you know, the hippie tree and the whatever. And so to me, it looked like a cartoon because it was flat, but the characters looked 3D in front of it. And it turned out that's why you thought, as an audience, I've never seen anything like this. Yeah. People in suits running around. It was just, it worked. So.
It worked indeed.
Thank you. Hey, I wish I could just spend the whole day with you. And I know a lot of you came up to say hello to me earlier, and I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it.